How do we keep in touch? Well, I tell you how we kept in touch last time. Number one, I didn't move to Washington, D.C. I went there during voting periods, weekly. I lived in my office. Now you ask, why would you live in your office? Well, the main reason, I'm cheap. And I didn't mind sleeping on an air mattress and a sleeping bag. It was rather comfortable, in fact. And there are a number of us that do that in Washington. But I did it for another reason, because every night when I laid that air mattress out and let it blow off, and put the sleeping bag down, and looked at the blown-up Tony the Tiger, life-size Tony the Tiger that Kellogg had given me to put in my office to remind people that I represented Kellogg. I went to sleep reminding myself that that Washington was my home. I think they agree. But that this district is my home. This is where my family, my friends, my bosses are at. And so I think that helped. But we tried town hall meetings. We unscreened. We used teletown hall meetings from my office in Washington when I was there and needed to get back information and hear information. We did coffees, teas, you name it. We did it. When we debated the last August I was, or July, I was in office in August. That was when we were getting up to $5 a gallon gas. And when we adjourned session the last day in July, 5 of us were going to speak on that issue of energy. That was when Speaker Pelosi turned the lights off in the chamber, banged the gavel, said we're adjourned. So 5 of us started speaking, and that went on for an entire month. Speaking on the floor of the House in darkened chambers on the issue of energy and reform needed. And we did it in shifts. I spoke, then I'd go home. A few days later, I'd go back, and I'd speak again. Go back and hold town hall meetings. We did that through the month. That's the only way. But then I would say, and I think the beauty of having lost a race is makes you a little bolder in talking to your constituents. Remember when I don't need this job? My wife would say, yeah, we don't. But we're in this with a passion for our grandkids and for the future of this great country. But I can also say it takes two. Because there are an awful lot of town hall meetings that I hosted, sent out robocalls and letters, franking mail and everything else to tell people I'm going to be here. Please come tell me what you're here thinking. And very few people showed up. In these meet and greets now that we're having, with the Tea Party movement going on in 9/12, we're literally having more people show up when I'm out of office than when I was in office. And that can't end once I get back in office. We need your input. Not only input to tell us what you want, but also so I can go back to the floor of the House and I can speak during special orders that goes sometimes in the midnight at night, standing there in the chambers and talking about what my district has said. And other colleagues of mine can add to that and say, our district says the same thing. Speaker Pelosi, we will not accept it. And that starts giving voice to the American people. And all of a sudden they start to say, hey, we do have a voice. We may not like Walberg, but at least he's talking our language. Anyway, how long do we have? We're gone past time. Question.
Explain a little more about the electric car and the rate that you were talking about. Did this come through here?
Well, I'm not sure I can add much to that because it's uncertain how we'll deal with that. It's uncertain how we'll deal with the costs of providing the roads and not paying gas taxes. We don't have that. Bottom line, we have to determine what we're going to use as cars in the future. What we're going to use as energy. And I'm saying, let's go from broken to small of it so we're independent from the rest of the world. I'll stay around a little bit here. We have one more question. Let's do one more. And then I'll stay around and we'll let the people who don't want to listen to me.
The question is, Tim, where do you see us going in Afghanistan, and what do you think about the rules of engagement that the President now has with our troops? Where do you see us going there?
Like I can tell you, I've been in Afghanistan on a couple occasions, in Iraq. I've met with troops. I've walked bed to bed at Walter Reed Medical Center and Bethesda. They are resolute in wanting to complete their mission. The rules of engagement that we have put them under at this very point in time are untenable for victory. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. Our troops are committed enough, trained enough, effective enough that they could still have victory. But we're handicapped. Unless we're willing to say that it is a war that we've engaged ourselves in, there is a purpose for us being there, and we are going to do all due diligence to make sure our troops have every opportunity, whether it's armaments of war or whether it's rules of engagement that allow them to do the greatest damage as quickly as possible, to get out of there as quickly as possible, and let the enemy know that we are there to win and not just to do a social change. I don't think we're going to be effective. And that's why I'm glad that this president has been pushed into bringing back a guy like Petraeus, who is a warrior, who understands his mission, who understands his troops, who cares for them, and is willing to do what a soldier will do, and that's inflict great harm and pain on the enemy in order to win the war as quickly as possible. And ultimately, to spare more people the unnecessary pain that comes from an extended engagement.
Are the rules of engagement no more from the political?
Sorry, that was the last question. Thank you very much. We appreciate your attention. Anybody else that has questions? I'll stay around here and be glad to talk. Congregate right around here. Be glad. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Come on, Wade.
Go ahead, Wade.